iPad Kai here because I blinked and forgot to film an intro, so here's the intro. I basically did the same makeup that I have on right now, and it's just a little shop my stash video. So without further ado, we're just gonna head into it. I've already done my, what are these called, brows and eyeshadow primer because those are like pretty basic, but I have not done base primer because I'm going to use something else when we get there. So I kind of just want a one and done eyeshadow look today, and I received these Milani eyeshadow sticks. I won them in a giveaway actually, and I have not really tried them out. So let's see how this shade, this is the shade Terra. Let's see how that does as a one and done type of eyeshadow shade. If not, of course I can, you know, put a blending color, put some bronzer in the crease, whatever I need to do, but I just want to see how this one looks on its own. Oh, so this one actually already came with like it disconnected or broken. I'm just gonna pop that back in there. Everything will be all right. And let me wipe off my hands because now they're dirty. And I'm just gonna draw this shade on. It looks very similar to the old one that they had, and that's what I thought it would be. Actually, let me put a little bit on this. They didn't have the names of them on the old shades, but just to, as a comparison between them, it looks like maybe this one is a little bit more cool toned, but they are very similar in shade. So if you've been looking for something similar to this older Milani pencil, then the shade that they have, Terra, is gonna be a similar type of shade. And then I'm just gonna blend, blend, blend. I remember a day when beauty bloggers and influencers were saying, oh no, don't put shimmer up in your crease. But I'm just like, I kind of like shimmer in the crease sometimes. I kind of like shimmer all over everywhere. I don't think that's a crime. Like, they kind of sheer out a bit, but you can still tell it's almost like a one shadow smoky eye, which was a little bit more than I actually wanted today, but I did say that I wanted a one shadow look, and I got a one shadow look. It just wasn't, I guess, as neutral. I was thinking something more my skin tone, but better. But I do like this. It's really nice, like smoky shade. I'm gonna just build it a little bit more on the lid. Really go in with that like smoky, or lean into the smokiness at this point. It's very creamy. I want to see how it, you know, lasts. I did use the Milani eyeshadow primer with it, so that should hopefully, you know, improve, I would say, the wear time of it, because it's like, you know, their products, of course you can use products from different brands, you know, there's no law stating that you have to use the products all from one brand, but they're usually formulated, at least I would think so, they're usually probably formulated to work better together and complement each other. But yes, so that is eyeshadow for now. Actually, I'm going to do a little bit of liner. I was about to pick up my Project Pan liner, and it is a nice black liner, but let me see if I have even just another black liner to use. The literal only other black eyeliner I have is the Stila Cosmetics Smudge Stick Waterproof Eyeliner in the shade Stingray. So we're gonna use that today. I'm pretty sure I got this, oh no, does it not roll up anymore? I'm pretty sure I got this from TJ Maxx. I'm just lining kind of close to my lash line, not bringing it up too much, and then I am gonna smudge it out with a smudge brush if I can find one.
Red winner, he wants your dinner until it ain't hungry anymore.
I don't feel like I've used this eyeliner pencil enough for it to not, you know, be finished, so I think it is not twisting up, like the component is malfunctioning, which is always a bummer, but that means when it eventually rolls into my Project Pan, it'll be, you know, easier to finish. You've got to think of the bright side of everything. And this is probably a reason why you don't need a million eyeliners. You don't know if one is going to spontaneously break or something. Maybe I did use it all. I don't know. I might have to like dig a pin down in there or something and see, because I'm really curious if I just in another lifetime actually used all of this eyeliner, or if it really is just not like rolling up anymore. I don't feel like I would have ever used, well, you know what? Not since I got this. I know that I got this like right before COVID. I remember that distinctly because I got it in a little set that was at TJ Maxx. But, I don't feel like around that time, like, yes, did I go through a heavy eyeliner phase? I feel like everyone went through a heavy black rimmed liner phase, or maybe I'm just a little bit alternative, but I feel like we all went through a phase like that, and I'm a little just like, it wasn't at the time that I had purchased that, so either that didn't have a lot of product to start with, I used it a whole lot more than I thought I was, or again, it's just like malfunctioning and I can't twist it up anymore. Either way, that's a mystery for another day. I have not used the e.l.f. Camo Concealer in forever. This is the shade Deep Olive, which I've heard from some people, I have had this for a while, you know, so I've heard from some people that it seems like some of their concealer shades have been reformulated to not really, is this going to be light enough? I don't know. I feel like my skin is giving vampiric. I need to tan or something because, oh no, okay, that's light enough. Like I was saying, I've heard some people expressing that it appears they've changed some of their shades and that they're not really shading the same way. Like there's a noticeable difference, and people were like, oh, I just feel like I was a little, oh, I forgot. I'll put that on in a second. I had meant to, because I hardly have used this e.l.f. Going in with the double e.l.f., but the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter. I have the shade 6 Tan Deep, which I do know that they have improved, I guess, or extended their shade range of this product. But from my understanding, I feel like they extended it at the ends of the range and not really in the middle, because I feel like it was the closest shade, like the shade 5 that was lighter seemed like it would have been a bit too light for my complexion and my purposes, but this I feel like might be a step too dark, and I feel like that's part of the reason, outside of just not really being a primer person and trying to finish the primers and products that I have in my project pan. I feel like that's part of the reason why I haven't really used that product quite that much, but I'm gonna use it today. It's also just always nice to revisit different products, because I feel like I amassed a lot of my makeup collection at a time where I did makeup much differently than I do now, so it will be helpful to be able to say, okay, I don't like products with this type of formula, I don't think X, Y, and Z looks good on me personally, or I don't know how to work with this product in a way that makes me feel like it looks good on myself. So that's a nice shade, I would say. It's, you know, not too bright, but again, I would be hesitant to buy Deep Olive again, because there's quite a few people who are saying some of these shades have changed, and I feel as though brands, if there is a formulation change or a shade change, like even if it's a slight ingredient and you don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, or you don't think your consumer will notice, there will be someone who likely notices. And so why not just come out up front and be like, hey, we had to change this formula because of supply chain shortages. Because of that, your product might be a little bit different than, and I feel like a lot of people in the perfume community, especially like the indie perfume community, are like that. They'll just say, okay, again, e.l.f. Halo Glow. Yeah, see, I feel like that's not really gonna give that much of a glow because it is darker than my skin, but we're gonna use it anyway. We're already here. I mean, it's like pretty or whatever, but as far as it being a highlight, like, I guess I just don't understand completely, because there isn't a shade that like works the best for me. I don't really understand the purpose of this product outside of like other glow boosting, you know, primers. I don't like, again, it's pretty, but for foundation, I saw this and it is a discontinued product, but I kind of wanted to use it because I remember loving this product so much. It is the Bite Beauty Changemaker Supercharged Micellar Foundation, which RIP to Bite Beauty. They are a brand that I feel like was ahead of its time, but also they were one of the brands who did a whole bunch of reformulations to become vegan, which is admirable, but in doing that I feel like they alienated their customer base. I don't know if this, ooh, that shade is light, so actually I think what we can do is maybe mix some of the e.l.f. in that so that it doesn't, and maybe that's just some of the pigment separating. I don't remember it being that light, but then again, I did end up purchasing another one because I felt like this shade wasn't working. Let me shake, shake, shake. I feel like the same thing kind of happened with Glossier use specifically. Like, I feel like Glossier has enough of a cult following that they haven't gone under completely, but they've definitely lost a lot of relevancy. And that was one of the few things, because I read the Glossier, I guess, Emily Weiss, like, what do you call it? Which I think I did a book review over on TikTok. If I can find that, I'll, again, ooh, that's still a little bit light, it's looking like. Sometimes it's like, what was I doing in that Sephora when I was picking out shades? Okay, we're just gonna let it roll and see how things go. Okay, maybe it's just in my real life that I feel like it's looking crazy. I definitely probably could stand to get rid of this shade in particular, because I don't think it's really, you know, doing it for me. But I could also, again, just try to mix it in with other products, see how they wear, see how they work together. Like, I feel like those two together blended out is now not looking as crazy as I thought it did originally, even if it is very dewy. I do think that if Bite Beauty made a comeback, like, as a completely vegan brand and all of that, I feel maybe they would be more successful. They have their lip labs, of course. I really wanted to go. I wrote a blog post about my time in Nashville last year, and I really wanted to go to the one that was in Nashville but didn't get a chance to. I'll, you know, have everything linked so that you can read. My Substack is completely free, at least at this point, though I do kind of feel like stories like the one that I just posted are the type of stories that I should put behind a paywall, because it's just like, you know, it's not like I was out here doing anything crazy per se, but it is more like personal, I guess, and to a certain extent it's really hard. I've talked about parasocial relationships over there in another post, but it's hard to want to let people in a certain way, especially on the internet, when people display a certain like lack of boundaries. And it's like, I don't want me talking about my life in a certain way to translate into everyone can just, like, I know that's kind of what people say, like, oh, when you go on the internet or when you put yourself out there like that, like, you're putting yourself in the position to be critiqued and, you know, hated on and whatever. But should we make that normal? Like, should that be, it's one thing if someone is genuinely like a terrible person, but I've literally had, like I wrote in one of the blog posts, had someone block me because I was like, hey, basically trying to give me medical advice when you're not a medical professional and I don't know you really, like, that's a little bit of an overstep. And I set that boundary, and again, that got me blocked. And of course there's an aspect of it that's like, oh, that just means there is more space for the people who want to be here, more space for those. I'm going to take that shadow stick and run it, oh, it did that again, where it came out, and run that on top of the black liner that I just put on, because I feel like that'll make it tie in. I don't know where I cut off, so if I cut off and was just talking, oh well, but I haven't given enough love to my Phytosurgence. Yes, it's a little bit, you know, dried up. I've had it for a while, but I never give it enough love. Honestly, for me, if I just warm it up with a brush, it ends up, you know, like, you know, there we go. So I like this for a more natural bronze, and I do think that they have slightly tweaked the formula since I got these. I was one of their swatch models, that was hard to say, for this launch. And again, because I've been so focused on my Project Pan items, I haven't given this enough love. I haven't given a lot of products enough love, so I was like, if I film a specific video about not using my Project Pan products versus just sitting down and doing my makeup for the day, that gives me a reason to give some of these products more love. And again, determine which ones do I like, which ones do I not like. Like, I like the Phytosurgence bronzers because they are very straight up neutral. And honestly, you could probably use some of them as more of a contour. At least this shade, the rosier shades, like they have basically their golden shades that kind of have more of a neutral and even olivey undertone almost, which really flatters my skin personally, because I feel like sometimes I have orange undertones, sometimes it looks like I have more olivey undertones. Like, I feel like neutral makeup and neutral foundation specifically versus very red toned or very yellow toned foundations work the best for me. But sometimes in my particular shade range, it can be difficult to find things that don't really like pull orangey or pull red, or just are, I feel like more brands are coming out with olive toned makeup, which is great, but it's just like it's almost not enough. Like, we need more. But again, Phytosurgence, they have the golden ones that are more olive toned, so if you have trouble with bronzers being super like orangey looking on you, but you still want something that is going to not be a super like cool toned contour type of thing, like, I don't feel like I look contoured, I feel like I look bronze, but it's just like not a red orange bronze. I don't know how to like say that anymore. I feel like I'm just saying the same things over and over again. Either way, I think they've reformulated them a little so that they're a little bit more creamy, because this is a little bit of a stiffer formula, but because of that, you're able to like build it up and it doesn't look super heavy on the skin. It doesn't like play not nice with powder. Like, this looks good on top of powder as well. It's not separating and all of that, so it's kind of like the best of both worlds. Blush, what do we do for blush? Oof, I feel like I have to go with one of the ones that is in my reserves back here. This is that where I put like some of my extras. What shade should I do? In honor of Beauty Bakery also coming back, this was their Snackaroons, their bite-sized Snackaroons blush in the shade Freshly Baked. Well, do I want something this orangey for this look? I don't know if I want this. Let's try this NYX Sweet Cheeks. This is the shade Bombshell. I don't know if they still have these. NYX is notorious, absolutely notorious. It's, you know, it kind of looks like a brick red plum shade, but NYX is just notorious for discontinuing all of their best products, especially their like cheek products. I have so many old NYX blushes that I literally refuse to get rid of just because I was like, you know what, I still like them, they still work well. if they haven't turned, especially like my powder ones, if they haven't turned, if they're not turning me into, you know, a zombie from The Walking Dead, then who am I to not fulfill the enjoyment of it? Like the ones that were quilted, those blushes were the absolute like best at the drugstore. NYX was really one of those brands that forced all of the other drugstore brands to step their cookies up, because it was like, okay, they're able to produce these products, and like now they're a little bit more pricey than they used to be, but they still have some affordable products, but they just really always put out high quality products. And again, I feel like they're just one of the brands that, you know, I always like, they very much show shaped similarly to e.l.f. I feel like e.l.f. maybe did it a little differently, but like both of those are drugstore brands that really made all of the other drugstore brands, even the ones like CoverGirl and Maybelline and like those, really again step their cookies up and be like, okay, we've got to do something. Highlight is another one where I feel like I need to dip into something I haven't used in here in a while. There's so much going on in here though. Why not? This is another discontinued product, but we're still going to do it anyway. This is the Jackie Aina, and I talked about this when I did my video about the Jackie Aina, the Forever Mood perfumes, but that I have been a long time fan. I've purchased a lot of the collabs. This is LeBron's, which admittedly might be a little bit dark for me, because that's usually what happens with this one. It's just like a little deep for my skin tone, kind of the way I was talking about with this, but it does have such a nice shimmer to it that it's, you know, forgivable. Where is my brush? Were my cats up here again? Okay, found it, and I'm just gonna use what is in the cap, because these Artist Couture highlights, like this was back when blinding highlight was in, and of course this one I feel like you can really sheer it out, but you can also make this so incredibly like blinding if you want to. It was just a different era, it was a different time. And I'm also going to add some to the inner corner of my eye. Yeah, that's nice. Maybe it's not too deep. Well, it's just kind of like, I wouldn't say it casts a shadow completely. I brought my bronzer down way too far on this side. What was I doing? What is going on there? I don't know what is going on there. I feel like it's not separation, but something looks like there's a shadow there. Did I touch myself with like, you know, something? I don't know. Is it my bronzer? I can't tell. I can just tell that it just looks a little bit darker, and it's also hard because I know that sometimes I have little patches that will like come up. I don't know what's going on, but we're gonna have to ignore it for the meantime. So I don't know what just happened. We're again gonna pretty much ignore that. But as I was saying, I don't feel like this highlight necessarily casts a shadow on my face, but it's definitely not like, you know, it looks nice, but it's not the brightness I would normally use. I definitely think I prefer this shade in particular when I am a little bit deeper. I hardly use this Makeup Revolution freckle pen, and honestly I think it's discontinued, though I think they have another one, or discontinued probably isn't the word, it's more like renamed. And this is one that I usually do like to do underneath all of my cheek products, but I kind of just blanked because I was like, I either have to use the Freck one that I always use, so that's not exactly shopping my stash and, you know, using different products. My biggest complaint about this one in particular is that it doesn't really stamp out the way that some of the other brands do, or I guess I should say it's just like a little bit harder to do so, especially without disrupting makeup underneath. That's why I like to be able to do it before my cheek products, and then I can put the cheek products on top of it. It'll kind of blend them and blur them out a little bit, and then we can all move on about our day. But with a light hand, you can definitely put them on top still. And then setting spray, I only have 2, so Charlotte Tilbury it is, because you guys know the e.l.f. one. At least if you watch my videos, if you watch my last, you know, makeup video, you would know that the e.l.f. one, or yeah, my last video or my last makeup video, either way, if you've watched my videos continually, you would know that I have the e.l.f. one, and I mainly like using this for wetting my beauty sponge when I want to wet it, wetting my foundation for blending things out and stuff like that. But I don't like putting this one on top because it is actually too dewy. Like, I didn't think that that could exist, but it really is too dewy. And then I actually need to take pictures of this sheer brown tint from Phytosurgence. It's in the little, you know, tester, what is that called? Tester tube. These are, you know, in progress. I love that shade, and it is sheer brown. Like this one, the full pigment brown, definitely is more full pigment. We've been, you know, teasing these over on our Instagrams, like me and Phytosurgence. But even just like this one, it's like not too warm tone. It's not like a really orangey brown. It's almost like a hint cool, but honestly very neutral, and it evens out the lips very nicely, adds a little bit of shine. It's really beautiful. I quite like those. Mascara, I'm just gonna use the same mascara as always because I'm almost done. I actually feel like I'm done with this too, at least this, you know, primer side. It feels like nothing's coming out of it anymore, so it's probably about time to retire this. Even the mascara side, it's like I'm scraping on the sides to get the mascara, but then I put it on and I'm just like, it's still really pretty, it's still kicking, so who am I to judge whether or not this is still kicking? Okie dokie, that is it. I like how it came out, you know. It was a little bit of a journey. We had some stalls and stops along the way, but overall I do like the way that my makeup came out today. I really like this eyeshadow look. It's just going to be like a very quick, simple like look, staple look in my, you know, arsenal, I feel. I really like, just again, I like how everything turned out. So this, you know, this was a good one. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, and if you enjoy my content, definitely subscribe. I hate saying that, it makes me feel like I'm shilling, but apparently you're supposed to give people call to actions instead of just being like, okay, that was the video, bye. So yeah, if you like me and you like my personality and you like what I talk about, definitely consider subscribing to the channel. And I hope you guys are staying safe and healthy wherever you are when you're watching this, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.